आजाद कश्मीर में गूंगे और बहरे बच्चों की मुफ्त तालीम व तहरीर का इदारा कश्मीर इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ स्पेशल एजुकेशन कायस आपके तावन का तरफदार अंसारी वेलफेयर ट्रस्ट यूके Barclay Bank, sort code 201188, account number 50877735, website awtuk.org. वसीम द चाबा, ताजा समोसा चाट, फ्रूट चाट, दही बल्ले, गोल गप्पे, सब्ज चाह ते पहली बारी आलम रॉक रोड तो ताजा गनिया दा जूस। जी हाँ, ताजा गनिया दा जूस। वसीम द ढाबा, आउटसाइड लाहौर पिज़्ज़ा, 32 आलम रॉक रोड। टेलीफोन नंबर 07846428925। वसीम द ढाबा।
RadioArchivaus.co.uk, bringing communities together through interfaith and social cohesion specialist shows.
Put it on silent. Okay. Just leave it here in front of you. If somebody wants to come, do that. This is your page. This is your page. Look at it. Put the volume down.
जिनकी आमदनी कम है अच्छे तरीके से मदद भी कर सकता है। राइजिंग स्टार अकेडमी में अपने बेहतरीन सहूलतों के साथ मुनज़्ज़म क्लासों में पढ़ाई की कमी पूरी करने वाली लेसन्स दिए जाते हैं।
At the same time, you get comments here, different comments here, different.
जिनमें घुड़सवारी, तीरंदाजी, बॉलिंग और भी बहुत कुछ सिखाया जाता है। ये लेसन्स अमाना सेंटर में तजुर्बाकार असातिज़ा की निगरानी में दिए जाते हैं। इसके अलावा 11+ साइंस और GCSE पर खास तवज्जो दी जाती है ताकि आपके बच्चे का मुस्तकबिल संवर सके। बल्कि हफ्ते के दौरान प्राइमरी स्कूल के बच्चों को भी बूस्टर क्लासेस दी जाती हैं ताकि उनकी पढ़ाई में भी कोई फर्क न आए।
Okay, good evening everybody and welcome to the Zoheb Show. This is it's 8 o'clock, Wednesday the 20th of October, and this is my debut show. So guys, if you're tuning in, we are live across many channels, RadioArchivaus.co.uk, we're live on Facebook, we're live on the Radio Garden app and also on the Radio TuneIn app as well. So as I mentioned, this is my debut show today. Welcome to the Zoheb Show. This is a weekly community talk show that I'll be hosting now every single week. So do tune in, do listen, do support me guys, and as I mentioned, I'll be aiming to provide some engaging and great conversations every single week. I will have a guest, so please do show some support. Now this show, as you may have seen from Ikram Mirza and Mo Ali, by the way, just want to thank them quickly for giving me the opportunity to come on the show. As I mentioned, I was a guest recently and now I'll be doing the same thing for myself. So being a community and well-being show, we have somebody today who was my first ever guest on my podcast that I did about a year and a half ago. So I want to introduce her now. I've got the wonderful guest, and actually I'm going to let her introduce herself so then you can learn more about her as well. So, community well-being show, and we've got the perfect guest tonight. And say hello, Suman.
Hi guys, lovely to be here today with yourself, Zoheb. Thank you so much, so privileged to be invited here on your amazing show once again. So I'm Suman Manghra, I'm founder of Manifestation Maven, and I help bring empowerment and well-being tools to those who need it the most, whether that's confidence building, positive mindset, reframing negative situations, healing trauma. There's a bunch of things there. So I'm really excited about what we're going to discuss today and all the amazing nuggets and wisdom we're hoping to share with yourself. So bring the questions in, please engage with us and do let us know what juicy things you really want to know answers to. We'll try our best to answer them together.
Yeah, there you go, guys. So as I said, Suman is a good friend of mine. I've known for a few years now. We actually met through a self-development group. So we're going to keep the kind of the community and well-being vibes going throughout the show here. Self-development is something that me and Suman are both into. As I said, she does it in her profession, and it's something that we've both worked on over the years. So we met actually through a public speaking group called Public Speaking Academy. So I just want to thank Bilal Jamil, if you're listening on the air, all the way from Sheffield. He is my mentor, and we met through a public speaking group, which basically enabled us to connect, me and Suman. And since then, I think we've just hit it off. We connected various times. She was a guest twice on my Zoe show, for those of you who followed it online previously. And now she's back again. So we're gonna dive deeper into the subject around well-being, around manifestation is a word that someone uses a lot. She's the manifestation maven. So we're gonna learn more about that and what that means. So let's get right into it, actually. And guys, just before we get into the conversation, we're live on Facebook. We're live on various radio apps, Radio TuneIn, Radio Garden. So if you've got any questions, please do get them in. We're live on my personal page and someone's Facebook page as well. So get your questions in, get your comments in. We've got some comments already that I'm just going to address a few people. So hello to Ayub Hussain. Thank you, sir, for your support. Sarah English saying, good luck, so. Sarah English, one of my close friends. We've got Firdaus Osmani as well, one of my fellow presenters on this station. And who else have we got here? So just a quick hellos. We've got Faisal Mustafa, we've got Kamran Salim, good friend of mine, and Zafran Khan as well. So there's quite a lot of comments, guys, so I'm just going to quickly say hello. And as I said, if you've got any questions, and if anyone wants to phone in, the studio number is 0121 682 9735. So if you prefer to phone in and ask questions, we can take those questions on the phone as well. But let's get straight to the conversation. So Suman, let's now ask you this word manifestation. So community, well-being, but what does that word actually mean?
Very, very big, tough question, but very good, valid question. I think a lot of people have different meanings for this word or don't fully understand it, and maybe sometimes have some negative connotations for it. But manifestation is simply a creation of, when we're creating our reality, when we're creating circumstances around us, even when we're creating our own feelings and connections, those are all manifested. So that's the terms manifestation. I'll use it in line with law of attraction. Some people will have, again, heard of this quite commonly in my circles. Everyone seems to know it, but then I still meet people out there who are like, what is this law of attraction? What are you talking about? So hopefully we'll demystify some myths today, and I'll clarify a little bit more as we get the questions coming in.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a topic that we will dive deeper into over the coming sort of 45 minutes. So manifestation, you mentioned that, it's law of attraction. It's, we've spoken about it various times as well. But for those listeners who, let's say, we're going to be covering various topics like self-confidence, motivation, letting go of, let's say, kind of any bad experiences, or, we're going to provide some real life sort of advice here on the show today. So what would you say, what's a common occurrence that you come across working with clients or people, What's one of the biggest challenges that you face when speaking to people about this subject?
The challenges can vary, but the underlying reasons why people have those challenges can be quite similar. The main areas that we have of our life is wealth, health, and relationships. So either people are having difficulty in relationships with either their family, or they're finding love, or their partner, their spouse, or it could be with their children. And then when it comes to health, it might be, the typical ones I get is around stress and anxiety. Situations get too much for people, overwhelm, dealing with all these expectations, or not hitting certain milestones by certain times that are expected from them. And it's like a lot of it's societal conditioning and upbringing as well. And then, of course, when you have the wealth side, it's usually linked to sometimes with career, sometimes with business. But yeah, financially, again, being at that sweet spot where they can feel comfortable and at peace and not at a war with themselves. So that tends to be those main areas that I tend to support people with.
Yeah, and it's I always feel like, with confidence, people, I speak to people about confidence, and they say, why can't you just be confident? I don't we know what that means, ladies and gents. When people say just be confident, because that term itself is so subjective, just like many other topics and aspects in our lives. But what could a person be feeling in that moment, would you say, and how do you identify if there is a let's say a gap, in their lives at that moment?
It's a really interesting one and a very common one. So that's a big one that I get asked a lot, in the sense of, you're so confident, you're very confident. I wish I could take a little bit of your confidence and have it. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, that intangible thing that people see as confidence or perceive, but this is what it is. It's a perception, and it's also maybe it's a mixture of different factors. Like, is it your feeling? Is it your courage? Is it like a mixture of those things? But an example that I did have was when I've done lots of live like workshops and online events. There's been an event where we do public speaking, and a massive part of the public speaking, bringing that topic up again, doing more of it, to be honest. This is another little tip. Doing more of the thing that you're afraid of or you want to work on is what's going to make you get better at it and more confident at it. But we had this public speaking online workshop, and the main person who was delivering the session was giving all these amazing tips and advice. And right at the end, you still got women coming on, or some men as well. I'm still afraid to put my camera on in an online meeting. I don't even have the confidence to put my camera on, have a conversation. So there's a lot of people who are in this boat, and I don't want people to feel like you're alone and that you're on your own with it. A lot of people do have this element of themselves that they want to work on, but again, just remember, it's a skill. It's something that doesn't just switch on and off like a light switch. It's a gradual increase that will increase over time, and a person like myself won't even know where it came from or how long I've been this way. Some people are probably a bit more naturally confident from a younger age, but absolutely you can get more confident at any age. You absolutely can grow it. I like to describe it like, rather than just that switch that's on and off and you just see the lights on, the lights off. Imagine like, when you try to correct your colouring on a computer or your television, and you're slowly getting the colour and the brightness there, and the blur's going away. It's a gradual thing. It's not, it's not just on and off.
Yeah,
I hope that answers that.
Yeah. Interesting analogy there, isn't there? And I don't think I've heard that particular description. But as I said, it's illustrated and thought about in many different ways. And it's funny how you mentioned public speaking. Again, we met on a public speaking seminar ourselves, and just a little story for people, guys. Confidence is a funny one, because people say to me as well, and someone's obviously just explained there how she's had people say to her that, oh, you're so confident, how can I have some of that? Now, I used to stutter massively as a child. I've told the story many times about I was bullied and I was picked on at school because I used to stutter, but without being arrogant here, look at me now. I'm hosting a radio station. I've spoken in front of hundreds of people at events. I've hosted networking meetings. I had a podcast before on Facebook, and it's like, it just goes to show that if you work at it, and if you actually if you address the issue at hand, the opportunities and the potential is limitless. Would you agree?
I absolutely would. And I love that you brought up that vulnerable side of yourself, which I didn't even know about until recently, and I've known you for a few years now. So I was really surprised to hear that, because I've only ever heard you well speaking, and that I've always said it to you, you speak so well. And that was, even in the early days, so you've only obviously got better. Yeah. But then when you touched on this about bullying, this is something that I experienced as well. And sometimes I still experience it here and there online, you get it. But I definitely at school, I did suffer quite a bit. And again, I hope this is like a bit of an inspiration for you guys, that if we can be sitting here and doing what we do and the work that we're doing and the impact and changes that we're making to other people's lives, don't let things that have happened in the past hold you back. And again, I guess that's going to lead us nicely on to how to let go, I guess, because letting go is a massive part of removing those emotional or mental blocks that we have, that we think that we can't do this or why you can't achieve it. How to switch that language into, I can do it, or I'm going to give it a go. Even if I can't do it, I'm going to try. And, just bridging that gap that way.
Yeah. And letting go is such a powerful topic. But what I did want to touch on, actually, which I forgot to mention before, was you specialize in energy, raising energy. And, it's a very, it's one of these topics which I find people don't really kind of either understand, or they don't talk about it in a way which you'd really expect. Energy, people might think, they think of energy drinks, they might think of energy like sport, being an athlete and stuff. But you're talking about energy that is more internal, inside of you, that kind of energy that drives us. Now, we've just been through a very challenging time, the last 18 to 19 months, that I think most people have faced a really difficult time. And I suppose people's energy in that particular period was tested, it was challenged, it was stretched. we maybe didn't know how to cope with it, and all of a sudden we've adapted and we've had to find all these different ways of doing things. So, you know, what were the kind of like, what was it like for yourself, first of all, with your being somebody who specializes in energy? What was it like for yourself, and what was it like to advise? Because I'm pretty sure people would have come to you and said, oh, I'm struggling at the moment, and you're a master of energy. So what was that like?
That's really interesting. Just something I wanted to touch on. As you said, people think about energy drinks. First thing when you were saying energy, first thing came in my head was Lucozade bottles. So what I'd like to say is that when I work with people, I like to give people the mental Lucozade, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very interesting. It's been a mixed bag. As Zoe will know, because he's known me for a while now, I was the type of person, I was working in 9 to 5. I had my part-time coaching business, and I was doing trainings, and I was doing networking events. I was always on the go, constantly on the go. So much on the go that I didn't realise that I was just on the go. And then when lockdown hit, boom, it was like everything just stretched out and slowed down. And I was just like, what's going on here? Like, I felt like I'd had that long vacation that I hadn't had in a long time. And then trying to get back into the routine, like, I've very much slowed down with my pace in life now. Like, I'm still busy and doing so many things, but I feel like I'm more like, I'm giving my energy more equally to things rather than pockets of energy, and I am managing my energy better as a result. But I will say as well, something that it's reminded me of is a documentary I recently watched around how we perceive time. And this was very interesting. Over the pandemic year, they did a study on this. And in the study, 40% of people thought that time went really fast. 41% of people thought it'd gone really slow, and the remaining said it was the same. So it was so interesting that such equal amount of people found it going really fast or going slow. And I feel like this is very similar to how people have perceived how their energy is. Some people, their energy really went down, depleted, because they take energy by interacting with others. And mostly people who are living on their own, or, you know, only 1 or 2 people in the family, they were having less engagement with people all of a sudden, live engagement, and that would have made people's energy drop. But at the same time, there's some people who are still, you know, doing online networking, or doing really, you know, still doing their work, or still had to go to work. I mean, look at our NHS staff, for example, frontline staff. They had to keep still being, nothing changed for them. They, if anything, they were more busy, more in demand, more stretched. So time probably was a bit faster for them, and their energy was probably higher as a result. So it is a very individual experience, and definitely I came across both types of people.
Yeah. It's amazing that, isn't it? That the fact that you specialise in it, but then also, you know, you've still got your own challenges. And I think what we forget here is that we're all human. We all have our own challenges. We've gone through so many experiences, and we're gonna continue to have experiences. We're going to continue to build. So our energy, really, I suppose, you know, it's always going to change. It's always going to fluctuate, but it really depends on kind of like how you control it. But mastering the way that you do it is really, really vital. Guys, as I said, if you've got questions on the Facebook page, you've got questions, you've got people want to phone in on the studio number, 0121 682 9735. Please get your questions in. We've had some comments already. People who've got here, a username. I'm just saying the username here. I'm not sure if it's a real name here. We've got Love Pyar saying, most beautiful Sundar guest. So there you go. That's a really lovely comment, isn't it? I mentioned we had a comment from Zafran Khan, Kamran Salim, Faisal Mustafa. So we had a few people. Amjad Mirza, Assalamu alaikum, good luck. Thank you very much, sir. So quite a lot of people who are commenting. So guys, if you've had challenges, if you have a question for someone that you'd like answered, or something, or if you know someone and you just want to say hello on the show, please do get your comments in, and we'd love to address those. But as we move on to the conversation here, so someone, in terms of, we said we speak about quite a few topics today, and you just mentioned about letting go of, you know, experiences. Now, why is it important to let go? What does that actually mean?
It can mean so many different things. It's a very subjective thing, because what is it you're letting go of? And what's really interesting is this year I actually became a published author as well, with an anthology that I was part of. Wonderful. And that was through Kushalya UK organisation with Ritu Sharma. A big shout out to Ritu. She's been amazing in my journey. And my title of my chapter is the power of letting go. So if you really want to know more, do read my chapter in the book. So what I came to a conclusion when I was putting my chapter together, it was very restricted, the numbers, and I was like, well, I can't put my whole life story in this chapter. How can I take the main bits? What's been the pattern? And I realised what had happened was that I had let go of my own power at one point, where I was letting other people dictate what was going on in my life. And that was like from parents to peers to workplace, like managers and stuff. And other people were kind of dictating how things were going for me. And then when I was on the other side of it, being unhappy, sitting there, as we do the blame game, we point the fingers. But actually, what I realised was I took my power back. I took my power back to get the alignment, to get myself back on track, work on myself, personal development, like you said, the self-development, and keep growing and developing. And then the key was to let go again. Now, this some people might find a bit strange, but this is exactly how I experienced it. I felt like I needed to take the control back just to get myself back on track. And then when I let go, it's like, I don't know, like many of our viewers may be quite spiritual or religious. You can look at it in a spiritual way, where, you know, when you say leave it into God's hands, it's letting go of things and just trusting the process. Gabrielle Bernstein's another big name in the personal development world, and she talks about the universe has got your back. And you know, if you believe God's got your back, the universe has got your back, like things will work out for you. That's all well and good, but get yourself back on track first and then let go. But sometimes letting go can be in totally different contexts. It could be letting go of guilt, shame and regret and negative feelings that we've experienced or encountered, or negative people that we've been with or in touch with. You know, it can be so many different things. And also, like when we're dealing with grief, there's an element of having to let go so that you can move forward and free yourself. It's about having that relief ultimately, so you don't have that burden that you're carrying around with you, like lugging like on your back, thinking, why am I so bogged down? Take that rucksack off and feel more like, I can breathe a bit now.
Yeah. Guys, who thinks everyone needs a Suman in their life? I definitely do. Do you know what I mean? And it's been great to, like, you know, I said I connected with Suman in that workshop, you know, with PSA of, you know, with Bilal Jamil. And, you know, it's fantastic that this topic covers so many different areas, not just confidence, not just, you know, energy. It seems to spread far and wide in terms of, you know, it can really bring so much to your life, make your life richer. You learn so many things about other people, about yourself. And, you know, guys, honestly, we got a comment from Sarah English here saying, congratulations, Suman, on being published. That is absolutely amazing. And it is amazing. That's, you know, that is absolutely fantastic. It's such a big achievement, because not many people can claim to say they've either written a book or contributed towards writing a book, and that, you know, that's a real testament to
and
yourself.
one that became a bestseller too. Just to
there you go. Honestly, bestseller. See, you just had to get that in there. Just had to slide that in. So, you know, but such a good,
it's
incredible.
To make the illustration that if
yeah.
I can do it, honestly, like, it's out there for everyone. And a funny story behind that as well. In January, I was writing down my goals, and I don't know if many of you do goal setting, but it is a very important task to do if you don't already, whether it's just New Year's resolutions or targets you kind of have for yourself, and whether they're short-term or long-term, however it works for yourself. But I was just writing down my goals, and I wrote down personal and business, and from nowhere, I don't know why I even wrote it, I just wrote book. I didn't know what that meant. I just wrote book. I put down timestamps next to when I'm going to get my book published, when I'm going to have it. I had no idea what this book was. And then the opportunity came to be part of the anthology. So this is what we call manifestation. And I manifested the opportunity to be in a book because I just put it out there. But just touching on the letting go as well, something that came in my mind as you were speaking, an interesting one came up for me, letting go of ego. This one's an important one as well. I think sometimes some people are sometimes at a certain part where there's things that are holding them back, and they're doing self-sabotaging behaviours, and sometimes letting go of your own BS is an important one as well. But I just wanted to just kind of share that.
Yeah, I mean, no, it is important. It is important. I think it's best not to downplay this subject, because people saying here, you know, letting go. We've got a comment here. Just want to read this out. Letting go of past trauma is absolutely key. amazing and totally inspiring, and it is absolutely inspiring. Another comment here, we've got I shall look on this phone instead. Wow, congratulations, Suman, that's incredible, a wonderful achievement, very well done. So there you go. So people are obviously acknowledging the achievements here, and it's fantastic, guys. So as I said, Suman's a published author. She does all this coaching, and it's absolutely brilliant. But it doesn't just stop there. So she mentioned ego, and I feel like ego is one of these things where, let's say, we are all brought up to we want to achieve in life. We want to do our very best, and sometimes maybe something gets in our minds where we think that we could be the finished article, or we don't want to learn anymore. There could be something that maybe we're stubborn in terms of, oh, that's it, I don't want to, I'm good enough now, I don't want to challenge myself anymore. But ego can be very limiting, I find. This is just my opinion here, but ego can be very limiting, and it's something that can become an obstacle. It can derail you. But in your own interpretation, how have you dealt with that? If people have come to you and said, look, or if you've had a comment from somebody else and said, like, look, sort of, I've got this problem, and I'm not sure how to deal with it. So how can they overcome that challenge of having that ego?
A massive part is self-awareness, because when you was just asking that, I thought, is he going to ask as somebody come to you? And I said, I need to deal with my ego. Nobody ever will do that, because when we're using ego in our lives and we're being egotistical, so to speak, we don't know we're doing that. We don't know it's coming from a place of ego, and sometimes other people can see it from a mile and you can't. So when I've worked with people, I will be very honest with who I work with, and I'll tell them, do you see how this can be maybe from an ego place? And it's just about opening those eyes, and that's a lot of the work that I do with the coaching. It's about giving those aha moments, those penny drop moments, that self-realization, self-awareness, and then all of a sudden it's like these blinkers that you have on has been taken off, and you're like, okay, I'm creating a lot of my own limitations, I'm holding myself back. Because a lot of people come to me and it's about people are holding me back, or it's always others or government circumstances, just life. I've been dealt the bad cards, and it's like, well, if you think of a pack of cards, it's got everything in there, you shuffle them again, deal yourself a better deck, why not? So it's interesting. I think people don't always realise it, but working on your self-awareness, and there's so many tips for this, but an example could be even the way we talk to ourselves. Simple little things like negative self-talk, seeing ourselves in constantly affirming, I'm unconfident, or I can't do this, or sometimes just thinking, I know everything already in my field, I don't need to learn anything more. That's the other extreme. But when you feel like you know it all, you're not allowing your mind to have some new learning or a fresh perspective, and you still limit yourself. So definitely on both sides of the scale, you need to find that nice medium in between where you know some things and you're confident with what you know, but there's always room for improvement, there's always room to learn more, and working on that part of ourselves, I believe for me, has been part of the journey, and what I tend to help others with.
Yeah. I said, pushing yourself is such a vital thing in life, and you should never be comfortable. You should never just think like, okay, that's it, I'm going to stop there and that's it, I don't want to do any more. What's the challenge when it comes to somebody who, let's say, you feel as if they do have an ego, or they could push themselves a bit more, they've got the potential to do more, but they're not seeing it within themselves? So how do you then encourage somebody, or how do you get them to see, like, look, you do have an ego, but they don't see it? So what's the challenge there?
So the challenge there is, and a massive one that we have with coaching, is there's actual true coaching in its essence is never telling people as it is. So I do a hybrid way of helping people, because I do use the direct approach, where I sometimes, depending on the situation and the person, if I feel like it's appropriate, I'll directly say, look, I can see here that there's a bit of ego coming up. And by the time I've built rapport and got that relationship with my clients, they normally know that it's going to come from a loving space when I'm supporting people. But the true nature of coaching, it's about letting the person realise themselves without saying it. So that is definitely a challenge. But the way I would do it is I will help people to reframe situations that they've shared with me, their experiences, and I'll be like, And I'll ask questions around it to open their mind up. So has there been a time where you've done X, Y, Z? Has there been a time when you haven't done this? Has there been a time when you've achieved this? Have there been a time when... And as I explore their journey and they're just sharing their incidents with me, I'll be like, okay, now that you've said that, but then 1 minute ago you said this. There's a contradiction there, so what's going on? And then they will then themselves, again, that aha moment comes up. They're like, oh yeah, why am I saying two different things? An example I had recently as well, and this is where ego can be, again, it's a very vague, broad term, but there was a lady who had an event coming up and she's like, I'm really worried that no one's going to turn up. I keep having this problem that I always have a pit in my stomach that no one's going to come to my event. And I'm like, now I know you're just talking waffles right now. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, I've been to your events. You've had people at your events. You've done many events before. So how are you saying that people don't come to your events? Because they do. I've seen them. So I reminded her just of a situation that she already had been in. She's like, you're so right. I don't know why I don't look at it like that. So that's an example.
Yeah. And, I think sometimes we are our worst critic, aren't we? And that negative self-talk. And it's quite deep topics, guys. As I say, if people maybe have questions or they're not sure, if they want to inquire a bit further, please comment. Please get your questions in. Please do phone us if you've got a question as well. 0121 682 9735. Don't be shy. Don't worry. Someone is here to help. If there's anything that people have something personal that they want to ask, I'm pretty sure we've got the answer for you. And it's all about positive mindset. And that's the key. That's the key message behind today's show, is a positive mindset. So we've talked about challenges. We've spoken about how we can address those challenges, but ultimately, it's about how you're building a positive mindset. So in terms of that positive mindset, you can say it's quite a broad term. I don't want to downplay it here. I don't want to say like, let's just build a positive mindset and that's it, because it does take time. It's built up over however many years. I don't think anybody does it in the same time as the next person. So if you're somebody who at the moment is let's say you're struggling with a challenge, or you've got something on your mind and you're not sure how to overcome it, what I'd say is take action. I'm going to get someone's thoughts on that in a moment. But definitely the first step is taking action, and and then, as I said, you don't know where it can lead to. So positive mindset. We've spoken about letting go. We've spoken about manifestation, energy, all these different topics. So let's try and bring it to some kind of fruition now. So positive mindset. What is the first step that someone can take towards applying that?
So we've already touched on this in the program earlier about the positive self-talk. So sometimes the way we even talk about ourselves and the way we see ourselves, let's start seeing ourselves in a positive light. Now, something that came in my mind as I was thinking about, okay, what is positive mindset? How is the best way I can talk about this? The word popped up, toxic positivity. And this is something that's been buzzword right now online, and a lot of people speaking about people being toxically positive. And when somebody's lost a loved one and it's like, just get over it, you need to just be positive. Like, how, on an honest level, how can anybody be happy about or positive about losing a loved one? It's not an easy thing. And the truth is that even though you want to gear yourself to be majority of the time more positive, negativity is part of our life. Negative situations happen, negative experiences, and it's part of what living is. When you're talking about energy, and I was thinking of myself, an example I've given to many people before, it's like when you're on a life machine, you see it going up and down, boop, 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 boop. The minute it's a straight line, that's not a good sign, right? So it's meant to go up and down. Life is supposed to go up and down. You're supposed to have ups and downs. But what we want to aim for is having more highs than lows. And when we are in a low position, of just managing it in a better way. And the more positive mindset you nurture and grow, a bit like the confidence that we said, it gradually grows. The more you nurture it, the more you can deal with the situations when they happen. So being positive and working on law of attraction doesn't mean that bad things ain't never going to happen anymore. It just means that you will react and respond in a different way to it. So the very first thing is, I would say, try and build on the positivity aspects in your life where you can. Massive one starts from the self-care, self-love, self-talk. And when I say self-love, again, some people get confused with it being selfishness, and we're meant to think about others before ourselves. But the truth is, like they say, when you jump on a plane, what do they say? put your own mask on before you help anybody with theirs. So put your own mask on first, look after oneself, because when you're filling yourself up and you've got the right energy around you and you're dealing with things in a better way, then you can help others better. But when you haven't even started on yourself, you're not going to be of much use to other people. So definitely I'd say the first step is work on yourself, whatever that might mean.
Yeah, and it's interesting how you say it starts from within, because people can appear to be happy and people can appear to live a good life, and they they have a great job, they're earning good money, they've got a family, they've got all these different things around them, but then inside there might be some emptiness, there might be something which isn't quite fulfilling them or satisfying them, and there's a gap that they want to identify, but then they're almost they're trying to fill it with other things, which is interesting because you're saying from yourself. So ultimately what you're saying is the happiness and the positivity starts from within, which a lot of people actually, I'd say they don't quite grasp that, or they don't quite understand, because they're looking for other things for gratification. Yeah. Now, in terms of starting from yourself, saying like that positive self-talk, that being positive all the time. What I'm going to allude to here is, because we're on an Asian radio station here, I think particularly in the Asian community, I find now, if you're listening in right now, and if you're not from the Asian community, as I say, if you are from another background, I think it does apply actually to multiple backgrounds, but particularly within the Asian community, what I find is there's a lot of pressure from a younger age from parents, or as you're growing up, there's expectation to maybe embark on a career that maybe you don't fully want to do, but then you do it because you think, oh, okay, I don't want to disappoint my parents, or I want to do something which is going to guarantee a good future, good success. Now, there's going to be people listening to this show thinking like, I'm one of those people who I've got a dream of doing something, but I'm not sure because I don't know if it's going to be approved of by my parents. I don't know if it's going to be something that's going to be long-standing, long-term. Have you faced people with those challenges? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. The interesting thing when I first do what I call a deep dive, and finding out the history behind what's gone on with a person, what has their challenges been, how's their life story panned out, to try and see, identify points where there might be something that I can pick out and work on. The first thing I always say is, why do you want what you want? Because people come to me with goal achievement, things that they want to manifest, desires they want to manifest. Why do you want to manifest this? An example I'll give, even aside from career, we even have it with when people come to me and be like, I've been single for a very long time, I want to get married. And it's like, okay, why do you want to get married? It's the done thing. I'm supposed to have got married by now. My parents expect it. It's like people's wishes and wants. It's not even their own. It's other people's. It's their parents. It's society.
Expectations.
It's these expectations, and it's not even what they really want. And actually, one client I worked with, from starting the journey with me saying, I want to get married, she ended the journey saying, I actually just want to be in a committed relationship at this point. If it turns into marriage, great. But right now, I just want that companionship. So when we actually deciphered, is this what you actually want? She was like, actually, I don't even think that's what I want. Yeah. So this is a really interesting one. And absolutely, I agree with you. We have so many conditions and beliefs as well. Our belief systems are so shaped by our upbringing, the nurturing, whether it's religious or whether it's culture, whether it's just the way our families are. There's a lot of people that they grow up and they go and see other people's families and start, engaging with other people outside their own family unit. And they're like, we don't do that in our household. And it's like, it's the norm for you because you're so used to it. You've grown up that way. And so we don't even realise where that grey line is of what is it what we truly want. But this is the kind of things that I help people with, to get to the bottom of what is in your heart's desire, and how do you tackle and manage the whole, what are people going to say, or what's my parents going to say? Because ultimately, this is a challenge that I did actually face myself. And when I used to want to do things for myself, I used to always feel so guilty. I'd get this pit in my stomach, and I'd feel like, I'd always just feel so nervous about, I'm going to do something, but I want to do it, but I shouldn't be doing this. And it was like, where's that coming from? And my very first coach that I had, I give her a shout out as well, Rose Body. And when I first worked with Rose, she said, you seem like you're very guilty to do things for yourself. And I was like, I'm not guilty, because I didn't even perceive it as that. I didn't know what it was. I knew there was a feeling there, but I didn't name it. And when it was named, that you've got guilt, where's it coming from? And I was just like, I just feel guilty if I do anything, because again, that whole mindset about people pleasing. I need to put my parents first. I need to put other people first. And it's like, actually, if you do what you want to do and you achieve what you want to achieve, would your parents be happy? I said, yeah. So where's the problem? And I was like, and that was my aha moment. So it's very interesting, and I think sometimes it's an illusion as well. Sometimes what we think our parents are totally going to be mad at us, they actually don't even bat an eyelid, and the things that you don't think they're going to be mad about, they totally go berserk. So sometimes it's all in our own heads, and this is where it's perception and our, like, how we project ourselves and project our thoughts, and there's so many layers and factors. I don't know if anybody wants to share their
There are.
thoughts on this.
I mean, look, you know, as I said, we've touched on so many different things there, and you know, it's funny. This being my debut show, I'm Punjabi. Someone is obviously Punjabi as well, and people today were saying to me like, "Oh, are you going to speak some Punjabi? Are you going to do the show in Punjabi?" And I said, "No." I thought, well, Punjabi is good enough to do it, but for those Asian listeners listening, if you understand Punjabi, but it's like almost like saying "Loki kahnge." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
a massive one.
you know, like, you know, you bestie, shut 'em, all that sort
To
of
which
stuff.
I always reply that song.
Yeah.
Kuch to log kahenge,
Exactly.
logo ka
Right. Do you know,
kahenge
this is not even meant to be. We're not even meant to be playing songs tonight. Actually, this isn't
got a
that kind of
little
show.
song taster.
But we just got a bit of a taster there. So there you go. It's absolutely fantastic. But there's a relevance to what I'm saying here, in the sense that you know, the fact that whatever background, whatever culture, or whatever experiences you've gone through, there's always going to be pressures through childhood, through parenting, and whatever. But that self-belief, which you've just demonstrated, is absolutely vital. And I think it's just testament to yourself that, number one, even for yourself, you know, I've seen you grow over the last couple of years. You know, you've been speaking, you've written a book now, you know, you've done various workshops, you've involved in other projects as well, you know, and it's great to see that, guys. And I said, these things, guys, you know, they're not overnight things, you know, and it's like, I mentioned my own example here, but it's not about me tonight. It's about Suman, and the fact that she's worked at it. She's a living example of somebody who has taken a challenge or taken obstacles and worked at her mindset and helping other people, which I think that's really inspiring, because, you know, we can create opportunities and we can achieve things for ourselves, but when you start helping other people, it raises your own energy, and it's an interesting connection there, isn't there? And can I just say, when I first interviewed someone, when I interviewed you back in April 2020 for my first Zoe Show episode on Facebook, I actually didn't really understand what energy was and manifestation was. I'd heard about it, I'd heard different things, and I think if there's one thing that the pandemic taught me, and maybe other people, is that positive energy and positive mindset was as important as ever. I have to say that online, on air, that it really was something that I learned being in the moment. And I think sometimes you have to put yourself, or you place yourself in that situation, and then you understand what that actually means, and it's absolutely fantastic. But we've had a comment here from Sarah English here saying, there are so many pressures nowadays from all angles. I'm a great believer in being your own cheerleader. It took me years to learn how to do that. Could have done with you 5 years ago. I think she means Suman, not me, because I've known Sarah for a few years now. So there you go. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's interesting when people replay or retell their own experiences back to themselves, and then they realise, my God, I've been through all these different things. But they forget that very quickly, and it's almost like, oh my God, like I've been through all of this, but when you retell your challenges to yourself and what you've come through, it's absolutely brilliant. I've gone on a little bit there. Apologies, guys. But
very passionate. About that.
Very passionate about that. As I said, but you know, there's some deeper learning and deeper lessons there. And guys, if you've got any questions, comments, please do get them in. You know, so you can comment on the Facebook page. You can comment on our personal Facebook pages, Zoheb and Suman. If you're live on the, if you're listening in via the radio apps, Radio Tuning and Radio Garden, we've got a studio number that you can phone in on and ask questions, 0121 682 9735. And if you're listening on the website as well, please get some questions in, get some more comments in. So someone, what's next for yourself? What's coming up in the world of manifestation? You're an established author now. You've done speaking. What's coming up now?
Well, I am working on a number of projects, as always, story of my life, so we'll know, as he's always seen my journey from day one. So something I'm currently working on is a leadership mindset program. So I'm actually collaborating with Suzanne Vertinen, who's the founder of Discover Change Limited, and she does change management in organisations, but she always does things from a business angle. And she approached me, and she's worked on projects with me to help me with my business too. And she said, you do a lot of things that are really intrinsic and personal and like self-centered inside a person's, the shifts that they need. And she goes, if we could collaborate and bring these together, we can do a really interesting program. I said, let's do it. So that'll be launched in the next month or so. So watch this space for anybody who's like entrepreneur. Maybe you're in the coaching field yourself. Maybe you're just a small business. This type of business training that we're going to offer is going to be unlike anything you would have seen anywhere, because it's literally the best of both worlds here. The other project is, and I've been saying this, and Zoe will know this because I said this to him years ago when I first met him, I want to have my own podcast.
There you go.
So I'm launching a podcast called Mind Your Thoughts. So it's all about how we mind our thoughts and have that mindfulness in our life, in the different areas of our life. So that's a really interesting one. Again, I've already mentioned her name once today. Rose Body is who I'm collaborating with on that, and she's part of Be Somebody Life Coaching. And then there's another project coming on, Business Anthology. So I've been part of an anthology already. Now I'm supporting V2 with a business anthology for women entrepreneurs, women business women who are in that field and they want to grow and find their mark to be the authority speaker and the authority in their niche and their field. So we're going to be supporting them on this journey next year as well. So
onwards and upwards. And there you go, guys. You know what I mean? It's like it's the fact that what I love is that you're not just sitting there saying, well, I'm just going to carry on doing what I'm doing. I've got a few clients, or I've written a book now, and that's it. You want to keep going. You want to keep pushing forward. And I think even having that mindset is, it's not just positive, but like I said, it's actually inspiring, because people sometimes when they have ideas, they don't execute them. And actually, let's just quickly touch on that. We are coming sort of towards the end of the show. We're not quite there yet, but I said but what's your advice now? And guys, this is a big one now, so I do hope people who are listening and watching it now, you pay attention to this one, because if I'm addressing the audience now, by the way, but if you've got an idea, or if there's something that you want to do in life, whether it's career related, whether it's education, whether it's a side hustle, a side project, if there's something that you've got in your mind and you're not sure what to do, then you obviously need to identify, how you're going to execute that. Now, you just heard what I've said there. Now, if people have that challenge, what is the first bit of advice you can give them? Overcoming the obstacle,
the first mental block.
Yeah, mental block, that's it. Yeah.
So it's about understanding, what do you want, right? Something that myself and Suzanne, interestingly, that we've got even incorporated in our leadership program, she always says, what do you want more of in life? List one thing, list two things. Sometimes people find it hard to answer that, so we ask another question: what do you want less of? So if you can't answer what you want more of in life, think about what you want less of. I want less headache, I want less stress, I want to work less hours. Anything that comes up, that'll still identify for you from what you don't want. The flip side of that is, what do you want? And when you start understanding more of what you want, you can start focusing and working towards it. So sometimes you might be in the place of what you don't want, and that was a massive thing for me as well, as in part of my journey and everyone's journey. I would say we sit there and it's like something's not going right in our lives, whether it's our job, and it's like, I really dislike my job, I don't like my manager, or I'm not earning as much as I'd like to earn. Well, what does that mean, what you want? Well, I want to work with a boss that's trusts me and approves of me or supports me. Maybe it means that money-wise, I want X amount of salary, I want X amount of income. Maybe it's when you feel single and lonely and you feel like, I really want to be with someone, but what are you really tackling? I don't want to be lonely. So what's the opposite of that? I want to be in a fulfilled relationship. So you can twist it into that positive shift by just addressing what is it that you do want or what you don't want.
That's what you call a detailed answer, honestly. You know what I mean? And if, again, guys, if you're in that sort of situation, what I'd recommend is you speak to someone, because she'll be able to give you some really good advice. You know, as I said, like, you know, we all have ideas, we all have things that we may want to do, but there's something stopping us. We don't quite have the confidence to do it. And I think, you know, we're both an example. You know, we're both, without gloating, or, you know, I'm not here to sort of to speak up about myself, but as I said, we both had challenges, whether it's personal life, relationships. As I said, I mentioned public speaking and you know, the early years of not wanting to speak or stuff like that. But there was a shift that happened. There was something that in my mind that made me think, okay, I've got to do something now. And someone mentioned it as well, you know, in your career and what you're doing now. I know that you wanted to do what you're doing for a long time. And I remember the day someone said to me, right, I'm going to do it now. I'm going to finally go forward and I'm going to start my business and I'm going to do this coaching. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it's like, to have that strength to say, I'm going to do something is really, really important. And, you know, it does take a lot of strength, by the way. It's not just about saying, I've got X amount of money, I've got X amount of time, I've got people supporting me. That's all well and good. But ultimately, it has to start with yourself. You know?
I love that, because it's that decision that you make,
deciding
is massive, and then putting power behind it and building that momentum. Then it becomes, it's not just about achieving what you want to achieve. Once you've achieved it, maintaining it, sustaining it, that does take energy, but equal amount of energy goes into like complaining and wishing you had it. So you might as well put the energy towards gaining it and maintaining it than wishing for it, is what my logic tells me.
Yeah. And you said, you know, we've touched on energy, we've touched on the different interpretations of that and what that means. Now, if people do want to reach out to you, and I'm hoping you do, guys, for those of you watching and listening, if you don't get in touch with someone, you know, I think, like, you know, you really, really should get in touch with her, because she can help you in more ways than one. So what can you offer people in terms of, like, if someone was to get in touch with you today, you know, kind of like, what's the process in terms of getting in touch with you, and what can you offer them initially?
Okay, so my website is manifestationmaven.co.uk. So if you go on there, you'll see a range of different products and services that I offer. But if you just reach out to me via DM, I'm more than happy to take your messages, requests, questions, and any engagement that you have with myself. And what you can have is either a range of booking one-on-one session with me. I do one which is a deep dive session, is a 2-hour long session, which we can cover a lot in. You'll be surprised how much you can cover in just a one-off session. But if you'd like to do more than one, we can have a clarity call to start with, a short call, assess what your needs are, and maybe do a package bundle for you. Maybe you need 3 sessions, maybe 5. We can work out price points for yourself. I do a one-on-one personal mastery course as well. So if you'd be interested in that, that's a lot more intensive. But I've actually also got a group coaching coming along next month as well. So there's a group coaching where you will be with other people, and people on a similar journey or similar types of maybe issues to yourself, and I'll work with a very tight-knit group, so it's not a big group at all. It's only a maximum of 8 people in this group, but that can be quite powerful when you have other people that you have that little mini connection with, and you've got other people to bounce ideas off or hear their issues and how they're dealing with something, and something will go off in your mind. So that's the predominant products that I have. There is digital courses available as well. If you don't want to do one-on-one work with myself, there is digital products available as well.
There you go, guys. You know what I mean? Someone's adapted, you know, during the times that we find ourselves in, and she's now offering a range of different products which are available, and, you know, they're clearly doing well with what she's been achieving and still yet to achieve, I should say. We've had an invite here from, so I mentioned to get in touch with you, and we've had a comment here saying, would love to get you on my networking so you can share what you do. That's absolutely fantastic, isn't it? You know what I mean? So as I said, like, you know, a few other people want to hear, and you know, they want to hear someone's story and what she does, and hopefully, you know, you can keep spreading the positive messages. And just a little overview from tonight, guys. As I said, being my debut show, what have people thought? Have people enjoyed it? What have people thought of Suman? We've had some comments already, but get your comments in. Let me know, kind of, if this is a topic that has resonated with you. If this is a topic that maybe you want to hear more about, let me know, how I've done tonight. As I said, this will be a weekly show from 8 to 9 every Wednesday on Radio Aapki Awaz. So I hope people have enjoyed it. One of my colleagues here, Javed Akhtar, saying, welcome and congratulations, Zoe, on your debut program on Aapki Awaz program. We are so proud of you. Another comment here saying, awesome show. Well done both. So it's been great to see that people have been enjoying it and the conversation has been really engaging for people. What's it been like for yourself, someone to be on the show tonight?
It's been amazing. I mean, time's just flown. Like they say, time flies when you're having fun, and I've absolutely enjoyed myself. And just to answer your questions, though, you've done an amazing job, as you always do. So I didn't expect any less. And it's been lovely to have the engagement and the comments, of course. Been very interesting to see those perspectives and thoughts that are shared.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's been absolutely fantastic. And guys, as I said, if there's any more comments, if there's any other questions, please do get them in. I believe we are about to sort of wrap up soon. But if anyone's got any sort of lasting comments on the platforms that that you're following this on, then please do get those in. So guys, as I said, weekly show every single Wednesday. If there's topics that people want to hear about, if there's other things that people maybe want me to touch on, get them in the comments. If there's something that we've not touched on today and you'd like to ask a question on, or you maybe want to sort of dive deeper on, please do let me know. And if people want to make those connections with someone, we've tagged her in the description. She's sharing this on her page as well, and we'll make sure that obviously people can connect with her further. So guys, as I said, thank you so much for tuning in. Someone, do you have any final comments before you go tonight?
There's always so much for me to talk about this topic, so I'm going to keep it short. But something that did come up was about when parents have these expectations, and we can look at them as these bad guys. Do you know what? Nobody has a parenting handbook, right? Everybody has their own model of the world. Once we can start just appreciating that people are looking at things from their perspective, we can start appreciating others more. So having attitude of gratitude as well is something I'd love to talk more about if I'm invited back. So.
Fantastic. I'm sure you will be. And I said it's been absolutely wonderful talking to you today. Thank you so much for your time. And guys, I hope you've enjoyed the conversation. So guys, we're going to end the show there. So thank you for tuning into the Zoe Show on Radio Aapki Awaz. So whichever platform you're tuning in on, please do leave us more comments. Please do let us know how we've done tonight. And inshallah, I'll be seeing you next Wednesday at 8 p.m. for another edition of the Zoe Show. And God bless, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you very much.